Jonathan Lovett, welcome back to Second Nature.
Aaron, the only downside of being a guest on this podcast is that for the week that it comes out, I don't have something to listen to from you guys.
It's okay, man. I listen to our pods all the time. I feel like when you're in the conversation, you're sort of like in the moment, but you also sometimes miss the context of the discussions, and it's sometimes helpful to like go back and listen to it. So maybe that'll be the case. But
Totally. Well, the last time I listened to this podcast was 6 a.m. on Saturday as I set off from Crested Butte towards Aspen through darkness and rain. And you and Aaron were talking about you can just do things. And so
yes.
I thought a lot about the fact that you can just do things as I was off doing my longest race, and it was just like a really fitting conversation to listen to as I ran in the dark and in the rain, in the process of running 40 miles. And yeah, I love this podcast. I love being the opportunity to be on this podcast, and you guys have specifically episode 100 helped me quit my job. So this podcast has done crazy, awesome things for me in my life. So thank you for everything you guys have been doing.
I still can't get over the fact that that's so cool, man. That's so incredible. And also, I mean, to be fair, your first appearance on this podcast is arguably one of, if it's easily the most referenced podcast in any conversation, both on and off the podcast. That conversation that we had about performance marketing really educated a lot of people as to what the whole thing was all about. And also you shared a lot of best practices and frameworks and stuff that help people out. And I think I took a lot of inspiration from that in a lot of the future conversations that we had. We have this, I think something that really makes a lot of the conversations on this podcast special are not necessarily that it's news related, that it's more educational related. Like, we are bringing people in to share insights and education with the rest of the community. And that's always sort of been part of it. But that episode really resonated with me of like, oh no, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And so let's try to do it again.
Yeah, it's a high bar. Let's hope we can live up to it, or I hope I can live up to it.
Well, I mean, you wrote an article recently specifically about, kind of affiliate programs. And the title of it was Why Most Affiliate Programs Stall and 8 Ways to Make Yours Thrive. And I feel like a lot of people either don't know what affiliate marketing is, or they're doing it really, really poorly. And so I think as sort of a starting point to our discussion today, we should talk about that. And later in this pod, we're going to talk about podcast networks, which has been a big topic of discussion. We're going to talk a little bit more about monetization, which I think all these things kind of lead into. But I really think we should start with this affiliate marketing thing, because if there's one thing in my world as a content creator that I just absolutely in its current state despise, it's affiliate marketing. And it's not because it's a bad thing, but it's because a lot of people are presenting it the wrong way or executing it the wrong way. And I think the article that you put together was a really great framework for how people should think about and how they should run their affiliate marketing program. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were at Inside Tracker, I'm pretty sure there was some sort of affiliate marketing program in place there that you had a hand in. So if there's anybody that could be sort of teaching the primer on affiliate marketing and how to do it correctly, I've got to imagine, this is the place to start.
Let's dance. So I wrote that article. Let me give a little context here. So I recently logged into a platform called Sponsorable, which is a platform that shows podcasts that have been sponsored and who the sponsors are and who the sponsor contacts are, which is why I use it. And it told me that I've had 53 sponsors in the time that I've been partnering with brands, which is 5 years now, specifically through my own podcast For the Long Run, which is 400 episodes deep. I wrote this, so a little context there. I've worked with a lot of brands, I guess 53 brands over the years. And I wrote this article. I used the term affiliate, but it was intended to be more broad than just affiliate. Affiliate is the mechanism of which you can evaluate performance directly through coupon code use and whatnot, and provide kickbacks to a partner and incentivize people who are motivated financially to promote your product. But I wrote this really as a framework for healthy and strong partnerships. How do we build a healthy and strong partnership that benefits three parties: the brand, the partner, and the audience? Because it doesn't matter if you love a product a ton if your audience isn't converting, right? Unless you're using the coupon code yourself. So this framework is really kind of unblocking some of the pieces of partnerships that most people might not even be aware of. Like, I had a conversation with Shocks. They make the bone conduction headphones, and we sent them a review deck. We, as in Emily Holland, who's been on this podcast as well, who I work with through my podcast, sent Shocks a deck, and Shocks was like, "This is the best thing we've ever seen from a partner. Nobody else has ever done this." And so we'll get to the step 4, build a feedback loop, which normally leans on the brand to do it, but we're doing it on the partner side as well. So anyway, very long intro to the framework of this article, which helps take influencer marketing from like it's a nice component of the business to like, this is a meaningful way to drive impact and build community in a real sense, where community is both a place where people can discuss, can talk about the product, can help troubleshoot things for each other, but also create a moat that when competitors or challenger brands enter a space, the community is what protects that brand. And so again, this framework is intended to bolster that and enable that type of experience.
That's already more depth than I think a lot of people get when they talk about affiliate marketing. I think that in a lot of marketers and businesses' minds, affiliate marketing is like, here's a way for us to access content creators, influencers, and athletes in like a way that doesn't cost us any money unless they perform. And even then, it's a pretty small fraction of what we get. So this is like our cheapest way to market our product, by like getting these people to talk about us by dangling this carrot of affiliate income. That's sort of where I think a lot of marketers' understanding of affiliate marketing ends, basically. And what you're saying is that there's more to it, and by adding in these additional pieces, you can make it mean more to not just the brands and to their bottom lines, but also to the people that are representing them. And there's multiple ways to do this, but to do it successfully turns it into a lot more than just, hey, this is the cheapest way to do marketing. It turns it into like a really effective lever for everybody involved.
Look, if you're building a successful program that is putting thousands of dollars a month or even hundreds of dollars a month into a partner's pocket for not a lot of work on their end, they're going to do a lot more for you than any flat fee partnership only could do, or they're going to go to bat for you, right? And I think the challenge that a lot of brands have is they take an affiliate management platform, they onboard 50 creators, and they don't touch it, and they just expect it to work because we're doing affiliate marketing. And there are so many tools. There's Shopify, there's Super Affiliate, there's Impact, there's Grin, there's like all these platforms that exist that intend to make it easier. And so the Achilles heel, or the like false success, is that you're simply using a platform to do it, right? That's not enough. Most successful programs have 1, 2, or even 3 people whose job is dedicated to this function. And you can't fake a real partnership with a brand and with a person, right? These are all humans. They're not just like, it's not just dumping money into Meta and turning on the spigot and then turning it off when the customer acquisition cost goes up too high. These are people, and people are both emotional and irrational. And so you have to build a relationship with people And so maybe we can get into step one of this, which is define success together, right? So in episode one of our conversation together, we talked about how performance marketing or marketing in general, a partnership needs to address specific stages of the funnel. So you have awareness, consideration, conversion. Step one is the partner needs to know what role they're responsible for. Anyone who is doing affiliate marketing is likely going to be responsible for conversion, because that's how you evaluate a successful partnership in a pay-to-play model. But also, they could be creating content for awareness and consideration too. And so, let's say I'm working with a brand and I have an affiliate structure, or I'm being evaluated on return on ad spend, ROAS. I'm going to create different pieces of content and do different things with a call to action. So there are some, for example, Shocks. I'm partnered with Shocks. I'm renewing for a third term because we have sold nearly 200 units across a 4 or 6 month partnership, and it's like a 4x return on ad spend or something like that. And so there are different things that I do to promote the product. And so when I'm doing product marketing and I'm sharing about the fact that I ran for 9 hours on Saturday and I listened to Second Nature for an hour and 15 minutes, and then for the duration of the 9-hour event, I listened to music. When I turned on the headphones today, it said, "Welcome to Shocks, battery medium." So I talked about that on a little Instagram story, and this is a consideration component. I'm not saying you should buy Shocks because it's $10 off with code FTLR. I'm saying you should be aware of this thing that has crazy good battery life and allows me to hear my environment around me. That is not done with the same intention as here's a coupon code, click and buy. And so I litter those types of awareness and consideration pieces into a partnership in addition to the conversion type content, because I know that they are evaluating me both on the content and the general consideration as well as the conversion information. So they're looking and saying, wow, it's great that you're engaging with us by bringing our product to the live events that you're doing and doing giveaways and this and that. Like, it's very intangible. And then they can also look and see, okay, the coupon code was used 60 times in the last 45 days, 60 days. This is a successful partnership for qualitative and quantitative measures.
It strikes me that, you know, this discussion about like awareness, consideration, and conversion is something that I think a lot of brands are trying to really figure out. And you and I have both been on plenty of calls where brands are like, well, I want all three. And, you know, that's a difficult conversation because you can usually get two, but not three at a time. If you try to pack three things into one message, it's going to fall apart. It's just like impossible. But what strikes me actually thinking about this Shocks conversation is that the reason why you're doing sort of awareness and consideration style content is to eventually build a foundation for better conversion, right?
Exactly.
Like you can't, if you're like, hey, we only want conversion with a partner, it's like, well, but you haven't done awareness and you haven't done consideration. You haven't built enough foundation to have the permission to do conversion. So in a way, instead of even defining like, hey, which one of these do you want? I almost wonder if you have to do a little bit more handholding to say, hey, before we get to the conversion, like we need to have some foundation building between awareness and consideration with the product or with the brand so that we have permission from our audience to do conversion.
And this is why organic partnerships work best. Things that are seen on a consistent and constant basis in your social, on your YouTube, in your writing, like when it's something that you really love. Like there are a couple of products that show up constantly in my Instagram. It's coffee, it's Scratch, it's Precision. Like there are these things that, and then whenever I post a code, it just converts. Like I have an affiliate code with Scratch that I haven't had a flat fee partnership with them in a year and a half, and I'm making like $500 a month from putting the code in my email, and like maybe once a month putting the code in my Instagram stories. But like it's constantly in my Instagram stories, and it's just clear that like it's something I use. And the other piece with sports nutrition is like I also have a partnership with Tailwind, and so I for this kind of stuff, it's like, well, sports nutrition is unique. I guess shoes are unique too, in that different things work for different people. So I feel like it's let's show things that work for some people or have good people behind them or whatnot. But like the message there is that it's really easy for people to spot phony partnerships, and it's really easy for people to spot like true, strong products and partnerships that they love.
Intention is everything, I think, right? And when you've shown your intention when you're using that product on a daily basis, it makes sense that you would then extend a link to someone to say like, oh, by the way, check this out. I had my BPC for today. I posted something and I even wrote like, hey, I'm not sponsored. I'm just happy that I finally found the solution. And this was my solution. And if you want it, whatever. And the conversion from that one link was like out of control. Almost probably because I was like, this is not a sponsored affiliate link. I'm just telling you this worked really well for me. I just demonstrated to you with some data that this worked. If you want this result, you're welcome to follow through, but I don't get anything from it.
And I think that kind of stuff is important to like, we're not all coin operated all the time. And they're like the BPC product that I'm going to share today, like I purchased at the race and I don't have a partnership with them. I'd love a partnership with them, but it's like something that I think is genuinely valuable. It's definitely valuable for me. I spent $40 on it and I hope to never use it at the same time. But
now I'm curious.
I'll be glad that I have it when I need to, if I need to use it. But like sharing stuff like that that's genuinely useful for the audience, despite not having a partnership with it, like that's good. We should do these types of things. But how crazy is it that we have to say like, I don't have a partnership with this. I'm not incentivized to post it. I think you should use it.
Yeah. It's funny the impact that it can make. Well, let's continue on with this affiliate thing because I really want to. I mean, I think what you wrote in this Substack article specifically was like the best practice. Like, hey, just follow these, and you're going to be in really great shape to actually get the results. Because I think, like you mentioned this earlier, but it's like people set up the affiliate link, and then they just kind of like, well, best of luck, guys. And then a year later, they're like, yeah, affiliate marketing's not really working for us, and it's like, well, yeah, because you're not doing it. Like setting up the affiliate program is not the same as running and executing an affiliate program. And so I think, especially the next couple that you have on the list here, so number 2 in the article is give partners the tools to win.
There are a lot of affiliate platforms that create these very long UTM. I don't know what UTM stands for, but UTM links that are impossible to memorize. They're like 80 character strings. And in order to measure attribution, some platforms require that the person clicks the link and uses a code. And so this is a failure because if the person cannot remember their link or their code, they're not going to use it, right? So I have a list of like a bunch of the affiliate links that I have and where I log in to access the reporting and metrics and whatnot. And then there are ways to make it really simple. So I'll mention 2 tools. One I've been a customer of for years, or a decade, and the other is a platform that I reached out to sponsor Long Run Labs because it's in my opinion, the best affiliate platform. And so the first one is HubSpot. HubSpot is a CRM at its core that enables sales, marketing, and customer service teams to have a single view into a source of truth, which is a customer journey or lead journey. And so a best practice when it comes to a digital product is provide a landing page for people to go to. You don't want to link them to a homepage. You don't want to link them to a checkout page and jump the gun on that too early. But if you link them to a landing page that's, website, companyname.com/second nature. Well, you can remember that. And then you have a photo of Aaron, and you have some of Aaron's feedback from random company, and then you have an email capture. And so you're capturing an email, which is measuring the consideration phase. And then the company can focus on the nurturing and the conversion, or so maybe it's awareness, and the company does the consideration and, maybe hits them with an offer around Black Friday or a random Labor Day offer or whatever, and that's the conversion. So you're leveraging the partner for the email capture and lead creation instead of awareness, consideration, and conversion in that mechanism.
Oh, interesting. So a lot of times when we talk about affiliate, it's like the only time you get any sort of feedback or any sort of result is if someone buys something. And like, what are the chances that you see my Instagram link, you click through the link, which is already a step that you have to take, and then once you click through, you're immediately ready to buy $100+ worth of product? That's the bar for me to be successful, that the time you saw my message, you were like primed to buy something that was expensive. Like, wow.
So the metric used to be you need 6 impressions to make a purchase. Now it's like 14 or 20 or something like that, because we're bombarded with noise constantly and we see like 3,000 promotions on a daily basis. And so it's unfair to measure success on what you've described, because that's likely last touch attribution, and you've caught the person in the buying moment. They've already been warmed up, and you just happen to be the partner that is capturing that final conversion. So I would much rather capture someone earlier on in the process and have my landing page have credit for 1,000 leads and 20 conversions or 40 conversions or 60 conversions versus you don't have visibility into those other 950 plus people that you're creating impact around.
This is my number one beef with affiliate marketing, because I could send 1,000 people to a website, but if only one of those 1,000 people buys whatever they're going to buy, I only get credit for the one person, even if that 999 people end up going on to buy something 2 weeks later and they forget to use my link, or they forget to use the code because it was on Instagram, or what, for any other reason, I get no credit. And so I think the biggest problem with most affiliate networks is that they don't properly attribute the effort that the creators are putting in, and the brands are only paying for actual conversions when the creators and the athletes are doing so much work on the front end to drive awareness to these channels. I love this as a best practice of set up a landing page where you can capture some level of information, and it could be like, hey, sign up for our email list and you're going to get a future discounts, whatever else, or sign up for this, or be part of this. It's a lot lower bar than like, hey, now that you're here, spend $100.
Right.
Right now. And there's a way to recognize, and maybe it's not even recognizing the creator or the athlete with dollars for conversions, but at least you have a signal to say, hey, they're actually driving a lot of attention to our website. They're actually driving a lot of traffic. Even if they didn't immediately create sales, which, like, best of luck, but even if they didn't immediately create sales, actually they brought a lot of people into our circle, and that's going to be valuable down the line because we know what to do with that.
Also, many brands who have a decent level of consumer intelligence or customer intelligence know the value of a lead. It's $1, it's $2, it's $3. And so let's say, and they know their customer acquisition costs. It's $40, it's $60, whatever. So you could never create any conversions from coupon code Aaron, but let's say you generate 2,000 leads at a $3 per lead valuation. That's $3,000 in value you've created. And then let's say the brand converts 20 of those people at $100, there's $2,000. So you've created $5,000 of value right there, and you've never converted anyone with coupon code Aaron. And so anyone who's not measuring all of this stuff and only measuring conversion from coupon code is potentially missing the $5,000 that has just been created in value from Aaron posting about something and driving people to a landing page and a brand doing proper nurturing and conversion. And that's why when they see Aaron with $0 to coupon code Aaron, they're saying, oh, he's a bad partner. Well, actually, if you look upstream or downstream, depending on how you look at it, he's creating $5,000 of value a month, and we're paying him $2,000. So now we're doing a 2.5x return on ad spend. We should continue working with Aaron because he's creating all this value.
Dude, louder for the people in the back. Come on. Okay, let's move on to the next segment here, because I think this is actually, again, this is the difference between setting up a link and actually having a program. Onboard like you mean it.
First impressions are everything, right? Whether it's dating, friendship, brand partnership, the way that you start a relationship gives the other person an understanding of how serious you are with it. If you just slap a code together and forward it over via email, that's not I don't feel warm and fuzzies, and I don't want to, like, we're all humans. We all want to promote good people. Like, there are so many products at this point that are basically all the same that, like, my decision tree is often like, who do I like more? Who are the people at the brands that I like? And I want them to win at their jobs. And so that's why I love working with Puma. I love everyone I've ever interacted with at Puma. It's not to say that people at Nike or Adidas or whatever other brand are bad people. I really like the people at Puma and On and Hoke. So anyway, onboard like you mean it. A short welcome guide or quick start video, how to use the product, how to talk about the product, brand guidelines, pre-written snippets that they can adapt to their own voice. You want people to feel supported, and like if they have questions, they can come to you with questions. How do I use this product? I got this question from a person in my DMs and I don't know how to answer it. Like, you want them to feel, it's sales enablement, right? You want them to feel enabled to help make the partnership strong. And this can be done in like a 20-minute meeting.
Yeah, even like a really, really good PDF that's like dialed in and considered and isn't just like, well, here's our manual. It's like, no. Here's like some best practices. Here's some stuff you didn't know. Like I did this for Aura Ring when I was there working with a lot of our affiliates and influencers. We had a basic deck that had like, hey, here's how to talk about it. Here's some information about it. Here's like other people that have done stuff in the past. But then on every single page, I had a little box that was like, hey, did you know? And it would be like, here's why we wear the ring on our index finger, or here's like a thing that most people don't know about activity in Aura Ring, or here's the thing. And then what you would see downstream would be when people were trying to create content around the ring, they wouldn't go for the talking points. They'd go for those little nuggets of extra detail that we were offering up in the margins of the onboarding guide, because they're like, oh, that's interesting. I can do something with that. And so you're giving people more surface area and things to like grab onto and work with in these situations too, where it's like, well, I could have found that online, but like, no, this guide actually gave you way more depth and way more like starting points and things. And actually the Aura guide that we created even had sort of like a brainstorming, like, what if you did this, or what if you tried this, or kind of to help the creators, right? Like, I think onboard like you mean it means like set your people up for success. Give them the tools that they can be more successful than if they just looked at your product and were like, cool, I guess I could do this with it. You know, like how else might you do it? Or what have you seen, or what have you wanted to see happen? Really like give your people something to work with here, you know?
Definitely. Okay, on to number 4, which is one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. Build a feedback loop. I'm a sales guy. I love knowing the impact I'm creating, and I want to iterate if I'm not creating an impact. So there are tools. Again, I'll mention Superfiliate. I get an email every time somebody buys with my code. If I go to ketone.com/FTLR, which is a vanity URL that I can remember that doesn't include a crazy long UTM string, I get an email anytime somebody buys Ketone IQ from that link. When I get that email, it makes me want to post again, right? Scratch, for example, they use Shopify Collabs, and Shopify Collabs is extremely simple and straightforward, and it shows me every single transaction. And I can log in at any time and see but the quantity of a purchase and how much money I'm about to receive as a result. And I've had a relationship with them for over 3 years, and it's done $25,000-$30,000 in sales for them, and they paid me less than that. And it's a great actually that 25 number was like the last time I looked months ago, so it's probably higher. And I'm motivated to promote on an ongoing basis, even with other partnerships, because again, sports nutrition is unique. What works for one doesn't work for everyone. I want to promote all sorts of brands. But this one, again, great people. I know Ian is listening to this. Shout out to Ian.
Shout out Ian.
You have helped me make big changes in my life as well. And the way that company does business makes me want to promote them. The code is simple, FTLR pod. It's scratchlabs.com/FTLR pod. Like, I haven't looked at that in writing in months, but I remember that because it's simple, and simplicity wins when you're competing for attention there. So again, it goes back to the setting people up for success and onboard like you mean it. You want people to know. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Anyway, you want to close the loop. I love knowing when something is successful, right? Because I don't want to keep banging the drum on a product that my audience isn't liking, right? You only have so many opportunities to like promote stuff and to use the trust that you've built up with the audience to say, hey, I'm putting my name behind this. You should trust that it's good. And if the conversion or care is 0, then I'm burning that trust every time I post about that thing. If I were to post about, ExxonMobil and we should buy gas from ExxonMobil, or like, what are all
that would go over really well.
Yeah, right. Enron. Like, we'd be burning trust. Oil pun intended. And so you only have a certain number of risks or flyers that people are willing to take on things. And when you recommend something that somebody loves, that's great. When you recommend something that doesn't work for someone, you need to be aware of this. So again, the feedback loop is both for the brand, knowing is this partnership working, but the creator and the partner, the affiliate, should also know if their audience does or doesn't like what they're promoting.
I feel like that actually ties in well to the next one, right? Your best affiliates might already be your customers.
Yes.
So this is like data management, basically. Like,
yeah. So let's say you have a consumable product and you have people buying it every month, and they bought it every month for 2 years. Don't you want to know what those people are saying to their friends? Maybe it's a random person that has 400 followers on Instagram, and every time they post about it, they get sales or somebody buys. Like, these people are potentially your biggest advocates, and they might not even want to be paid. There are a story I reference millions of times is the previous company I was at. We were selling spirulina and chlorella algae way before its time, like 2012, 2013. And there was a woman named Lori who lived in Florida. She's a mom of 2 or 3 kids, sub-elite runner for Wazelle at the time. And she had like 900 followers on Instagram. And again, this is 2013, so like very different era. But she would post and get like 10 to 15 sales every time she would post at a $90 to $100 purchase amount. So she's posting, and we generate $1,200 to $1,500, and she's a customer. So every so often we would just send her product, because those are like, that's a crazy return, and she's totally happy because her friends and family are buying something that's healthy and helping them, and she's feeling like she has an impact, and it doesn't cost the brand anything besides the cost of goods to send and some postage to send Lori something every couple of months. So who's buying the most? Who's been with you since the early days? Who's made a purchase in the last 90 days? And who checks 2 of those boxes? If you find people that are checking 2 of those boxes, particularly long-time customers, figure out a way to thank them. And again, thanking them does not need to be monetary. Many people are motivated by money, and many people are unmotivated by money, and they don't want to receive money, and they would feel much better just getting a letter in the mail, like we were talking about yesterday with again with Scratch.
Yeah.
And so these people are also most likely to respond well to discounts on products, complimentary products, or just like a note from the CEO or a note from an executive, or just like feeling appreciated. But you could also let them know that there's an affiliate program. And again, an affiliate program can exist in a low lift manner that doesn't cost you anything unless there's performance associated with it. And so again, a platform like a super affiliate, you can reward your customers with your own products. You can give them cash rewards. You can give them 2 months free. You can give them an upgrade. Like you can enable certain enhancements or thank yous, kudos, that go beyond like 10% back on coupon code redemptions. Like I get Ketone IQ every time people buy. Like I think it's like every third purchase they send me like $60 worth of ketones. So they've made 3x that, and their cost of goods is, I don't know, probably 50%. So they're making a 4 or 5x return on spend for sending me something every third purchase. And it makes me happy because I want the product. I'd rather have the product than 10% commission. So it works.
It's amazing to think about the level of surprise and delight that you could build into the affiliate program, where it's not just this monetary transaction that feels cold, but actually recognizing that stuff, whether it's people that are already in the program or people that are doing the same things as people in the affiliate program are doing, how you might do something for that. There was actually something I saw yesterday online. There's in Portland here, there's a baseball team called the Portland Pickles, and they actually gave one of their fans an at-bat in the game. And I just love that, like it doesn't have to be these black and white rules of like, well, you signed up for the affiliate program, here's your commission percentage, see you later. It's like, oh, this guy's overperforming, or look at this person, they're not even in the affiliate program, but look how much they're driving to us. Again, it comes down a little bit to data management or at least like tracking, stuff like that, but also what could you do for people that are doing good things for you? What can you do for the people that support you the most and are vocal with their support of the brand? How might you actually reward them or do something? Which leads us perfectly into number 6, reward growth.
So flat commissions, as I wrote, are fine, but tiered or performance-based rewards can light a fire. So think about higher commission rates for certain thresholds, a bonus for monthly or quarterly milestones, or like give people, again, I'm going to refer back to Scratch. They're doing it so right. Scratch sends some of their top customers and ambassadors products before they're available to be purchased. Do you know how good that makes people feel?
Man, the prototype watermelon thing that I got,
so good.
Dude, all day.
And their branding on it is incredible. So, the more reasons that you have to care about a brand, the more likely you are to stay engaged. And again, this doesn't have to be like tit for tat. It doesn't have to be, oh, you sold 10, so you get 1. An example is, I worked with a solar company to go solar in 2022, and I bought a battery last year, and the battery was like basically free. And that was in part due to the tax credits as well as the local energy incentives. But then they gave me a massive discount beyond that because I referred $350,000 in sales to them. And they paid me like 20 something thousand on that. So it was like 13x return on ad spend. That's great math. And so they gave me a discount that was bigger than most. Same thing happened when we went to lease a second Volkswagen. The dealer here in Boulder, I've been working with them. I've referred them like 10 sales. So if you look at 10 sales at 50K a pop, that's $500,000 in cars. So they gave us a crazy good deal, basically as low as they could go. And I know because other people have told me what they paid. And so it's not this like, oh yeah, it's the best we can do. It's like truly the best that they could do because other people were paying more. And so it makes me want to talk about them more. It makes me want to refer more people to them. It makes me want to, do these types of things. I'm going to like keep going through this reward growth bucket here on the Substack. I'm partnering with a sunglasses brand called Tifosi. And in our brand meeting, they were like, yeah, this is going really well. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, my birthday is coming up. I'm turning 35. What if we did a birthday promo and did 35% off? Like, this is way more than they ever would give beyond their Black Friday pricing. And their gamble was, okay, we just want to get people to buy their first pair. And when they buy their first pair, they end up buying 2 or 3 more pairs over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. So sure, a deep discount for first-time buyer is fine. So they let me give a 35% discount for my birthday, which feels nice to me. And they get a bonus promotion, like it was above and beyond the agreed upon deliverables for the period. And I pumped it hard, and it worked. And a bunch of people bought. And it makes me want to do more with that brand because they're experimenting with me, and because they're looking at how do we take one of our high performing partners and test things. And if people are already buying, that's a signal. And then the question is, what are the additional levers that we can pull on? And then can we take those learnings, if they did or didn't work, and apply them to everybody else? And so, again, as a partner, it makes me feel good that Hank at Tifosi wants to invest a little extra time working with me and do something that he's not doing with anybody else. And then I feel even better about promoting that brand. And now I'm talking about it here on Second Nature. Like, these are the types of things that they're like, it's earned and bonus coverage that they're getting because of these things that they're allowing partners to do and test.
I think that to summarize a lot of what we've been talking about, the affiliate program that brands can set up is a way to develop additional signals for what's working in order to grow the brand. And what people are doing wrong in a lot of cases is that they're not creating opportunities to have more than one signal. They've relied on the sales signal only and not the awareness and consideration and inbound traffic signals. But if you had that developed, then you have more signal to decide, hey, what we're doing with this person is actually working really well. We should then, double down on what we're doing with that person and test and learn even more stuff. This person is the next person up. Up until this point, we've only worked with high performing elite athletes that, we believe, for better or worse, are doing, meaningful value to our brand. But here's someone who's demonstrating value in a different way. And maybe there's an opportunity to do even more over here that we didn't previously expect was going to be the case, because we have all these different signals that we're getting from them, whether it's that, website traffic, whether it's people signing up for stuff, sure, sales too. But like, probably the biggest thing that we're missing is that we've only relied on sales volume when, wow, these people are giving us way more than just that. And we just never even thought about it.
Totally. Which leads us into number 7, track
So
more
perfect.
than codes. This is great. Yeah, this is like we're finishing each other's sentences here. Okay, attribution is not always centered around conversion, as you're saying. And there are many creators that are fantastic at converting, and then there are creators that are fantastic at saying like, hey, this is something I love, go check it out. And they'll get 0 conversions, but they'll generate 10,000 leads over a 1-year period, something like that. So for brands that are sold digitally via e-commerce, you can add a post-checkout survey. You do not want to introduce this prior to completing checkout, because you only want essential information to be captured prior to completing checkout. You don't want to get in the way of that. But now that somebody swiped their card, hey, how did you hear about us? A non-alphabetized list of like my friend, a friend, family member, Twitter, podcasts, whatever, with an other category as well. If it's not, if it's not labeled there, you want them to know. And this enables you to measure a couple of things: channel impact, as well as non-captured conversion information. So let's say you're investing a ton of money in podcasting, which I'm sure we'll get to if we have time, although I have another hour. So you're measuring a podcast as a new channel. And if podcast is a post-purchase survey question and you get 50 responses that say podcast, but 0 podcast codes used, you know that podcasting is working. And so then you go back and you look at the messaging of those podcasts and you evaluate, okay, whose messaging is good and on the nose, and you say, hey, great work, it's working. You may not know for sure that Second Nature is driving impact for XYZ brand, but you know that the medium is working despite not seeing any conversions with the specific codes. Again, like, not everyone cares to put in discount codes. Some discount codes are 5% and it's a meaningless amount of money if it's like $3 on a pair of sunglasses. So adding in the post-purchase survey. Other ways to do this, for particularly companies that are earlier stage that do not have a lot of web traffic, you can look at specific spikes in activity. So I'm doing some consulting with a brand called Eternal, and Eternal is about a year old, and we can still see meaningful spikes in traffic based on when somebody posts. So let's say an influencer makes a post and web traffic goes like this. Well, we should be doing our best job to capture that traffic. And as a premium price product, understand that not every person, that 99% of people that visit the site are not converting in the first instance. So it becomes our responsibility to capture that traffic and then nurture it. And capture means collect emails and then push people into a nurture workflow where eventually, maybe in 30 to 45 days, they'll convert, but not after they've been warmed up tremendously. And then social listening, another tool available through platforms like Superfiliate and others. Again, I'm partnered with them, disclaimer alert. But I'm partnering with them because I love the tool as a creator, and then the visibility on the back end for brands is fantastic. So you can through a tool like that, you can measure messaging and mentions and the earned media value of those mentions as it translates to actual sales dollars. Early on, when Twitter was a new thing, I was at this brand, Energy Bits, I was searching who was talking about spirulina and chlorella algae and replying to them from the brand side, and people would just buy because they were looking for a more convenient source of this product, and we were creating that. Early on at Insight Tracker, it was the same thing. People were tweeting like, how do I get blood work? How do I test my iron levels? Like things like that you can buy search keywords for, which then becomes the pay-per-click or the Google Analytics and search traffic conversation, or you can reply to these people on Twitter and say, hey, we can help you out with that, and then they buy. And it's incredibly low cost way to acquire customers, incredibly high time investment, but for premium products, something like that works. This is also a great way to find your evangelists. Like if people are talking about your brand and you don't know them, you should know them. And so some of these tools, or even just like if you're on Instagram, who is tagging you? Who is tagging you the most? You should be replying to these people.
Yeah. Your brand champions, right? Like we talked about that a little bit earlier, like go into your data, like who's bought, who's talking about it, who's excited about it, and then how do you welcome them into the family in a more meaningful way. I think being part of the brand family, like affiliates, so many times I see just gets shoveled off into the corner. But your last point on here is about building that community, and I think that affiliates should be part of the team, part of the family that a brand creates. And brands that do a good job of that emotional connection that you have to a brand only comes through stronger in the content that athletes and creators are making, right? The more experiences that you share, the more opportunities that you share, the more moments you create together, the better this stuff becomes. And again, it comes back to that earlier point that I was making about how you have to do the awareness and consideration work before you can do the conversion work. That community element plays so much into those first two buckets, don't you think?
I reference Scratch again in number 8, which again is a demonstration of how powerful their approach is, right? I've mentioned them 3 or 4 times in an hour so far in a conversation about how to build strong partnerships, right? They're not paying me to say this. They're not, like I'm saying it because I wrote back to Scratch Labs. They often invite me to dinners at races where they have a presence and have a really strong focus on hospitality and community, which starts from the top. And their founder, Dr. Alan Lim. Alan is a chef and loves to bring people together to break bread. Every time I go to Western States, every time I go to Leadville, Peter invites me to dinner. Shout out to Peter. And this is just like it's not something that it's not hard, right? It's just like it's not hard for them. It's just a part of their DNA, and it's a part of why people love a specific brand when it's so human. And the brand for both. Like, again, the product is great, but there are a lot of great products. It's the attention to detail, it's the attention to people that separates good brands from great brands, in my opinion.
I feel like one of the things that also feels true with this community thing is this understanding of the long-term impact of all of this stuff, because affiliate in its current state that a lot of people are doing incorrectly feels very short-term and transactional. And when you take the long view of it, of like, cool, they're going to have links and people will likely buy using these links, but like it needs to go beyond that. We need to think about how we might develop a long-term relationship with all these people and how we might offer something more. And buying somebody, dinner or inviting them to a dinner that you've like, Alan's Sea Otter dinner is like legendary. In fact, I was joking with them this year, like I've been angling to get this invite for years. But like that long term, like, hey, these are people that are in it for the long run. There you go.
I see what you did there.
But if you have that sort of vision and approach to your affiliate program, imagine what's going to change in terms of the way your affiliates talk about the brand, in terms of the way that they create content or links or stories or anything about it. If it's just, here's the product, push it, versus, hey, like, we'd love to have you be a part of this, or we'd love to invite you to this, or like anything else that has more of a long-term feel to it, where there isn't an immediate transactional element to it, that stuff matters.
And investing in people is a long-term play, and investing in people is harder and it's more impactful. So I mentioned Eternal, the company I'm working for, high performance healthcare for athletes. And the CEO, it was early at Strava, and then he built and sold The Athletic to the New York Times. And he's like, so as people centric as you can possibly be, both the internal team and in a go-to-market strategy, you can invest tons in Meta and Google and pay-per-click and this stuff, or you can invest in people, creators, influencers, athletes, etc. And so his request to the team was, let's go the people route. It's harder, but it is stronger in the long run, for the long run. And again, people can create that moat, particularly in a crowded space. So at Insight Tracker, we were working with every trail runner from 2016 through 2019. And I wonder what would have happened if the 2021 through 23 influx of competitor and challenger brands had happened when we had that extremely strong moat. I do not think that we would have seen as many companies switch, and I don't think that competition would have had such an impact because we had such a core focus on community. And so, but the same tactic that works, for one period doesn't always work. And so goals change, investors request different things, the metrics and KPIs change as well. So you can't rely on one strategy forever. But people, you gotta focus on people.
Well, I feel like we've done affiliate marketing a solid here. I feel like you just laid out the complete playbook of how to go from giving people a link and hoping for the best to actually creating a lever in your marketing program that makes a difference in your bottom line and your overall impact as a brand in the space. Did we miss anything? Is there any?
Why does it matter, right? Okay, so people buy from people, and particularly in today's crowded, competitive space for any product. There are no products that are like the only solution for that problem anymore. People are looking on Trustpilot. They're looking for reviews. They're looking for social proof to say, this is a good brand. This is going to work for me. I'm investing my hard-earned dollars, and I'm going to feel good about that decision. And so, and with some of the changes in Meta recently, like, they're finding those answers in Google searches, and AI and ChatGPT and all these platforms are citing Instagram posts and social proof in answering questions of, should I buy this thing? And so it's not just impacting discount codes, coupon codes, affiliate programs, influencer programs, but everybody who is buying is looking for social proof, referrals from friends, reviews online. Like, it matters for, I don't know, at least 80% of purchases is a statistic I've seen, influenced by somebody else. And so again, it's not just measuring the impact of the influencer and affiliate programs. It's measuring your ability to be a healthy and successful business that enables people to feel good about their purchases when they're looking for information in that buying decision.
There's a graphic that used to show up on every single presentation at Red Bull, and it was the marketing mix of Red Bull. And this was like how it all fits together. These are all the puzzle pieces put together in one thing to show you what we really think is moving the needle. And at the middle of this giant circle of puzzle pieces was a heart. And inside the heart were three letters, WOM. And everything that Red Bull did was focused in on WOM. Yep. Word of mouth. And that is exactly what we're talking about here. Here is how you get at the heart of the consumers that are out there. Here's how you influence people to actually do to test your product, to try your product, to learn about your brand, to get in the door. It's from hearing about it from people that you trust. Because everything that Red Bull did, from an event, through an athlete, through a music thing, whatever it was about those credible connections with people who could then talk to other people and tell them about their experience or about what they were doing. And that was the thing that moved the needle more than anything else. It wasn't about putting on Red Bull Flugtag in every major metro. It was about, how do you get one person to talk to another person about this thing? And that is the essence of everything that we're talking about today.
And do you think that that's one of the reasons why, in, again, today's crowded marketplace of, you could walk into a 7-Eleven and see 30 different energy drinks, like, Red Bull is still considered number one?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? Like, they created the category. They're doing a lot of things to stay top of mind. But yeah, I do think, like, the word of mouth, the experiences that people have had with that brand, both like the product itself and the brand itself, everybody's got a Red Bull story, it seems. And those are stories that people want to repeat. Oh, this one time when dude jumped out of space, or this one time I was at this Red Bull snowboard event, or Red Bull Rampage, blah, blah. Like, everybody's got a Red Bull story. that they like to repeat. And I feel like that actually does impact quite a bit because, yeah, when you walk in and you need energy, what are you thinking about? Like, well, now I have a chance to vote with my dollars. I'm going to vote for the brand that has done something cool in my life, that has created an opportunity for me, that has shown me something that I didn't even know was
Supported
possible.
Dylan Bowman.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So I think there's something really meaningful about that, but I think it all comes back down to storytelling. And here's a way to like recruit a lot of storytellers in a meaningful way and have them speak their credible truths to their audience. Man, we had a much bigger docket today. Do you want to go into podcast network?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we don't need to go as deep. I feel like the affiliate thing was something that needed to be, I think, demystified or at least shared out some best practices. But podcast network has been a really popular topic lately here and in other places, and you're actually doing it. You've created a bit of a podcast network, and I'd love to hear from you specifically. What was sort of the impetus to create a network of podcasts in the running space, and what's your experience been like since launching it?
So two things. One, I've been doing brand partnerships for years, and I've been doing it to an impact that enabled me to quit my job and say like a good chunk of my revenue, my like ability to put food on my table and pay my mortgage comes from ad sales, which is an incredibly risky thing, but I've become confident enough in like I'll just figure it out because I've just been figuring it out for years. So that what that looks like is 3 consecutive years of 6-figure revenue or more. Well, not more. It's all 6 figures in the last 3 years. It's not 7, but growing over that time and saying I've been doing this for myself. Can I do it for other people? Coupled with the thought that there are a handful of people out there that, right? So somebody is setting the floor. And so whoever sets the floor is impacting everybody else. And so half of my impetus for doing this was like, I want to raise the floor and I want to help the podcasts that are undercharging and undervaluing their impact raise that bar. So I started compiling a handful of podcasts that I like, that I've worked with, that I listened to, that said yes. And the goal, the structurally the goal is to prepare for when big brands say, I want to reach this demographic being skews millennial, skews female, skews high household income, skews focus on health and wellness, right? That's like what most brands are, who most brands are wanting to reach. Women influence the majority of buying decisions in a household. So the fact that it skews female is great. So I set it up structurally for non-endemic Fortune 500 brands that luxury items or travel things or cars or leisure, like clothing, all sorts of Whole Foods, whatever. And in the short term, it's a really great way to connect running brands with the audiences that should be hearing about them. So who are the trail brands that should be connected to Tailwind? Who are the road brands that should be connected to Precision? Who are the road podcasts that their audience would really resonate with a race like Boulderthon? And how do you make these connections happen in a streamlined manner, right? So I act as the single point of contact and can leverage between 1 and 17 podcasts to extend reach from my 16,000 downloads a month to 375,000 downloads a month and 4.5 million a year, whatever the math works out to be. It grows every day. And so it's fun because I like pitching. Like yesterday, I emailed 125 brands, including Costco. I am dying to make a Costco racing team. If anybody listening to this has connections to people in marketing at Costco, please let's talk. There are people in the network that spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at Costco a month and can, shout out to Lindsay Hine and myself. and can be like really impactful and create some really fun storytelling for brands like Costco or Hertz or United Airlines. I've joked that I'm either going to get blacklisted from emailing United or I'm going to get a partnership with them. But I'm not sure which one it'll be. But like, think about all the stuff that we use to execute these events, right? We need to get there. We need to stay there. We need to, all these different things play into it. And so again, it's not the scratch, it's not the precision, it's not the tailwind, the shocks, the tifosi. It's the Marriott, it's the Westin, it's the Hertz, Enterprise, etc. These are billion-dollar brands that have huge marketing budgets that all have competitors, right? Are you going to stay at a Hilton property or a Marriott property? Are you going to go to Costco or BJ's? Are you going to go do Uber or Lyft, right? So it becomes an affinity marketing play. And who is going to be the hotel for runners? Well, right now Westin is killing it with their Hyperice partnership and their Run Westin concierge program. But like, imagine if they were talking to 200,000 runners a month. That's building a moat, right? You're going to win in a niche if you invest in the niche, and then the niche becomes a really strong contributor. And then all these people have friends that don't run, and so they're going to, it's going to snowball like that. So the thought came from, how do we raise the bar? How do we connect audiences with brands? And then how do we bring non-running money into running that enables creators and athletes and influencers to do their job and create impact and build a bigger pie instead of fighting for, scraps with the budgets of many of these running brands that are in the, $2 to $10 million range, that like a $20,000 partnership is incredibly expensive for them. Whereas you're looking at a Westin or a Arc'teryx or something like that, where or Fidelity has a $50 million marketing budget, right? Why can't we have Fidelity invest in running where they're talking about financial health in tandem with physical and mental health, right? Again, to an audience that is millennial, probably is more likely to own a home than other demographics, and has discretionary income, and probably an outsized percentage of people listening to this have a brokerage account, or should have a brokerage account. If you're listening to this and you don't have a brokerage account, you should have a brokerage account, statistically.
So, I mean, to simplify it, right, you are basically playing up the volume side, where it would be impossible for a single podcast to go have a conversation with Fidelity, but by collecting 17 podcasts together, you now represent a big enough audience where that conversation becomes a lot more reasonable. And the dollar, if you went to Fidelity on like a $500 a month thing, they'd be like, get out of here. But if you came to them with a $50,000 a month thing, they'd be like, oh, okay, this is like the level we play at. And
I went to them with, and I had this conversation, a $300,000 proposal, and the CPM was too high. It was like 3x what it needed to be. And I was like, well, that's a deal breaker. But there would be ways to build that in and do, lower cost CPM partnerships. And because they're measuring this on a CPM model, whereas like some of my partnerships are at $1,000 CPM, it just doesn't make sense. But the return on ad spend breaks that model. In a major media buy, you can't have $1,000 CPM. You can't have a $100 CPM. But it's that $30 to $60 CPM within a niche that makes sense. So CPM is cost per thousand. So if you have 1,000 listeners, you're charging $50. So if you have 10,000 listeners, you're charging $500. The other piece of why I wanted to do this is because of everything we talked through in points 1 through 8, right? I feel like I know a little bit more than most when it comes to brand partnerships based on my experience as a creator and with the brand. And I want to take that value and provide it to other people. And like, I've been sitting on this thing that I've been doing for myself to a decent result, and kind of like it's a game to me. Like, can I make this work for other people? Can I put money in other people's pockets? There's one guy I put $17,000 in his pocket, and because his audience was who people wanted to connect with, and so far it's been about 60K of deals that we've done, and I have about $400,000 in the pipeline. And I challenged myself to do $1 million of deal flow in year one, and then I would say this is a real, a real opportunity. And so I think I'll do it, but it's like it's like a game to me. Can I take these skills and apply them at something else and create a lot of impact for everyone? And I'll refer back to the very beginning where I am not seeking the impact just for myself and putting a bunch of money in my pocket. I'm seeking the impact for, I want the response when I talk to a brand. So I had a conversation with a sports nutrition brand about this, and he was like, wow, I'm going to get seven partners all in one with only one person I need to pay. This is fantastic. Like, this makes my job really easy. I want to make it really easy for the brand. I want to bring products and services and companies to audiences that seek them and crave them, help them make better decisions. And I want to pay my mortgage. So it's the win-win-win of, like, I want it to crush for brands. I want it to crush for creators. And, you know, I'm a sales guy. I like seeing numbers, and it's a fun challenge that to create an outcome where three different parties win is my favorite type of math.
I mean, if you look at, I mean, even in the trail running specifically space, right? You're seeing sort of agents arrive on the scene. And so you have this professionalization across the board of these, you know, these people showing up to really help professionalize and help create services and actually like have high levels of execution as well. It's not just like a handshake deal. It's like, no, there are deliverables. There's actually a program. Here's the real-time feedback. Here's, you know, like, you've got it so dialed in at this point that you are now professionalizing 17 other podcasts as well, instead of just having one that's like pretty dialed in.
Totally. And then the other piece comes back to the mention of Emily earlier. So I've done a handful of these like solo and just managed it through email and meetings and stuff. But then once you go beyond 4 or 5 podcasts, the money becomes bigger and the expectations become bigger. And so then it gets back to some of these points where it's like, how do we measure impact that goes beyond conversion, particularly for brands that are available to be sold in stores or retail or whatever. So as part of this larger package, we're putting together if it's a annual partnership, we're doing quarterly reviews. And if it's a 6-month partnership, we're doing reviews on a regular basis, and then providing decks with, okay, here are the mentions, here are the responses, here are the number of impressions against what we expected. And so we're really professionalizing the whole thing versus just saying like, hey, spend $100,000 with us and get, 500,000 impressions, and trust us, it'll work, right? We're saying, here are the expected impressions, here's the expected potential impact, and then let's close the loop, as we talked about, on what we saw on our end and the response we saw on our end. How is this working for you? And should we continue doing this and expand this?
Amazing, man. I mean, I'm excited for this, and I know that there's got to be, now that we've done 2 podcasts, we got to do a 3rd one, because there's so much more that we still need to unpack. But at the risk of going for another whole hour, we should probably move on.
How long
to
have
BPC.
we been going here?
Looks like just shy of an hour and 15 minutes, which will make this, I think, the longest podcast we've ever done, but also like jam-packed with a lot of really interesting insight. And I think a lot of people are going to take a lot from this. Well, we always end every episode with brand product content. Since you're the guest, I'd love to have you go first. And I know you got some show and tell to do. So if you're watching on YouTube,
yeah, we have a show and tell. We both have a show and tell today. Can I do a product and content? I think in my first one I did brand, product, and content. So I'm cutting down to 2 today.
Whatever you got.
Okay, product. I bought this Pact. The company is called Pact. It's a all-in-one
PACT. Yeah.
PACT ultralight, the all-in-one bathroom kit for outdoor adventures. It's 2.3 ounces. It's a shovel, and then a moist, actually not a moist towelette, but these little tablets that when you wet them, they turn into compostable butt wipes. And
Wow.
then these little things you put, so you dig the hole with the shovel. I haven't taken it out yet, but this like comes apart and then makes a nice little shovel. So you dig 6 inches when you go poo on the trail, 50, 75 feet off trail. And then you wipe it, you wet this little thing, and then you put this little tablet in the hole before you cover it up, and it says used for faster poop breakdown. It's a mycelium tablet. I don't know what mycelium is.
Mycelium is mushroom, right? I
Maybe.
think.
Yeah. And it kills harmful bacteria. Yeah, it's a fungi that breaks poop down faster. So I found this at they're a sponsor at Leadville. They're a sponsor at again, I don't have a partnership with them. It's just a super cool product. And it's 2.3 ounces, so super light. And they're a sponsor at Grand Traverse, which is where I found that. And then my content is the Road to the Trials podcast hosted by Lindsey Hein, Matt Chittum, and Peter Bromka, which is seeking to speak with every single Olympic trials qualifier in the marathon between now and March 2028. So 400 conversations, 20 to 30 minutes, 8 to 13 episodes a month. And between the three of them, they've put out thousands of podcasts over the years. Peter's a 219 marathoner. Lindsey's a coach, and Matt's they're all coaches. And so it's like a really fascinating trio of perspectives on the tip top end of road running side of things, to understand elite performance and like the impact that chasing big goals has on everyone's little community. So super fun. It launched on Monday, September 1st, which is when the trials window opened. And yeah, super cool podcast concept back for season 4.
That's so cool. Nice. Right on. Okay, I've got a product for BPC this week. I travel a lot. As you may or may not know, there's a lot of flights between here and China happening in my life right now. And one thing that I've never had before is REM sleep on an airplane. I feel like, up until recently, I was barely breaking 30 minutes of sleep. And then I got one of those little turtle neck things, and that made a big difference. But then I got the last piece of the puzzle, I think. They're called Oslo Sleep Pods. And they're little earbuds that go in your ear, and they're way smaller than like an AirPod or whatever. And what's crazy about them is that actually this company, it used to be a product that Bose made, and then they discontinued the product. A bunch of engineers from Bose were like, hey, can we just like keep making this? And so they got Bose's blessing, and they went and launched this company and then added to it a bunch of things. And so basically what it does is it fits right into your ear. There's no like extra thing that like sticks out of your ear like AirPods do or anything like that. So you can sleep on your side with it, but it plays white noise, and you have a bunch of different options and stuff, and it blocks that or masks all the sound and stuff like that. It also has an option where, because it's like blocking everything, you can set an alarm so it wakes you up with a different noise, and all of a sudden, so if you can't hear your alarm, you can still have an alarm. Also, if you have it linked to your phone and you're like listening to a podcast or an audiobook and you fall asleep, it will pause the book or the audio or whatever until you wake back up, which is kind of awesome. But I used this on my most recent flight to China, and I got like substantial REM sleep, which like on an
And
airplane,
you felt good?
I felt amazing, and my ears didn't hurt when I woke up, which is also one of the issues. And I used this about a bunch when I landed and was trying to get over jet lag and stuff like that. So also not sponsored, but oh my goodness, this was a game changer. And yeah, like I said, it was a Bose product, so you already know it's good, but like now they've added to it and made it even better. So
How did you find it?
my friend Dave, who I used to work with at Aura, ended up working at this company and just started working with them. And he was like, you gotta check this out, dude. So I think like Dave and I were both, I mean, at Aura, we're sleep obsessed because of the ring and all the data and stuff like that. And so we're always looking for other ways to like improve sleep and make it better. And we both travel like crazy and have hectic lives. So when he landed on that, I was like, oh dude, I'm in.
I'm
No
so glad
questions.
I'm so glad you said that because we totally missed one more piece of the building a successful partnership program or like go to market strategy. Employees.
Yeah.
Employees can be your best evangelists. So thank
Yeah.
you for reminding me of that.
Yeah. That's another good one. Well, I think we delivered. I feel pretty confident that this one's going to be another highly referenced podcast in the library. I mean, I think we took affiliate marketing to a different level with like the insight and the best practices that you shared. So thanks for coming through and making it happen.
Thanks for having me on.